We're going to be traveling across a glacier with crevasses. Let's talk about how we connect ourselves to the rope. Hello again, everyone. I'm Jason. We are continuing our Glacier Travel series talking about tying ourselves into the rope. We aren't getting into the rope between climbers yet. That's next week when we talk about spacing and brake knots. But today, it's all about how we want to either tie in, or maybe more likely clip in, to the rope. Things are going to differ based upon what type of climbing is after the glacier, the crevasse rescue system we are choosing to employ, our available equipment, and if we are at an end or middle position on the rope. Let's start with that last one, middle versus end positions on the rope. If you are on more than a two-person team, which I recommend, then any position not at the end of the rope is likely not going to be carrying any spare coils. So the rope connection decisions are pretty straightforward. The most typical decision is going to be to clip into the rope using a bite knot and a secure double or triple action carabiner. But there are a number of carabiner choices that impact safety, and you can take a look at a previous video on some considerations that are important in selecting the right carabiner. Theoretically, you could also tie in with an overhand on a bite retrace, but we usually clip in so that we can get out of the weighted rope and transfer the load for a crevasse rescue most easily. Both middle and end climbers also face the decision to pre-rig Prusiks onto the rope or not. Old school advice was often to set Prusiks on the rope in order to A, have them already in place to help with ascending the rope, and B, to have them to help manage rope slack. But these uses have fallen out of favor. First, modern crevasse rescue techniques usually provide some sort of assist to even an able-bodied climber, as you can see from last week's video. There's a link in the description. Second, many people, myself included, are carrying different tools like tib locks and microtractions for rescue scenarios, so the Prusiks may just add clutter to the rescue procedure. Third, and speaking of clutter, pre-rig Prusiks can clutter our harness and even make it harder to get to our bite knot cleanly if we need to transfer the load to the anchor. So we are having clutter all the time, impacting all of our climbing for the eventuality of a fall that rarely or may never happen, and for which the knots might cause an initial problem before they can ever be of use. So it has become the norm to only add these rescue materials, Prusiks or otherwise, when they are needed. The end climbers also need to decide to clip in or tie in. For the same reason as stated earlier, it is standard practice to clip in front of spare coils that will be used for our crevasse rescue procedure. But now, for end climbers, things get a bit more complicated. We won't be talking about how much coil we are keeping, again, that's next week, but we are going to talk about what to do with the end of the coils. Do we tie into our harness, stow the coils in our pack, just tie the end off, maybe clip into the end with another bite knot? Actually, any of those are acceptable. In fact, over the course of a video produced by Ortovox with a number of certified German mountain guides, there's a link in the description, you can see all four methods being used. But there are reasons to choose a particular option based on your specific circumstances. First, would we want to tie into the end of the rope and then clip in again at the right spacing from our next climber? Well, this might make a lot of sense. You can watch a short we did on how to make this specific type of Kiwi coil, yet another link in the description. I think the classic use case for tying into the end is if you are expecting technical climbing right after your glacier travel. By being tied in already, we can be in the right rope system for the more vertical, pitched out sections, complete with a closed system, just by taking off our coils, again one at a time so that they don't get tangled. The three most significant downsides of this are, again, some harness clutter, but not nearly as bad as loose Prusiks dangling. Carrying coils over a shoulder can be uncomfortable for long durations, and we may need to untie the knot to get out of the system if any complex rescue scenario demands it. You may note that in the crevasse rescue system we demonstrated last week, an end climber would not need to untie, but other rescue systems place other demands on our rope setup. You can see in another video from Ortovox, yes, there's a link in the description, a different crevasse rescue procedure in which the end climber both comes out of her bite knot and is not tied into the end. In fact, in the same video, you can see that the rescuer is actually carrying the spare rope in her pack. We have another short in which carrying rope in our pack is something we demonstrate. This may be the most comfortable way to carry spare rope over significant periods of time, and it may give you a free end of rope if that is what your crevasse rescue system needs. But it also has downsides. Having the rope in your pack could make it harder to get to other gear. But maybe the most significant risk is the possibility of having one procedural mistake in, say, your crevasse rescue system setup lead to a situation where your system is open, potentially exposing a climber to catastrophic fall potential. That same downside is the most significant risk of simply coiling to the end of the rope and then tying off the end around the coils. The upsides, again, might depend upon your crevasse rescue system and the need to have a free end or not. And having the rope visible, not in your pack, makes it easier to take out and bring in rope lengths and still visualize how much rope you have left. Which takes us to our final option, clipping rather than tying in to the end. This hard closes the system, so it overcomes the issues of our last two options, but it does leave another loop of rope around our belay loop that A, has more slack and so may actually get in the way more than tying in, and B, could be confused for your middle point clip when you are transferring the load in a rescue system. Of course, in some rescue scenarios, having an end that is immediately ready to clip in as a fixed point might be a big plus. So I think the bottom line when it comes to connecting end climbers to a Glacier Travel rope is what risks are we trying to mitigate? If crevasses are truly the main danger, then we carry coils in such a way as to expedite our rescue system setup. If steep terrain is an issue, maybe we set up our coils to maintain a closed, climbing-ready system. But we can be purposeful in our choices to tilt the odds of risk ever more slightly in our favor. Tied in the pack, just tied off, clipped. Do you have a preferred Glacier Travel coil method? Let us know yours in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and share if you want to support us. For more information, you can go to our website at www.shortguysbetaworks.com. You can check out the video I mentioned about my preferred crevasse rescue system, which then dictates my rope coiling method, or you can check out our entire Glacier Travel series. We'll see you next week and keep on getting more out of that big outside.